we lost her. So I'm hoping that now the internet stays. I'm just trying to fix my light here. Sorry. Um, I'm back and I'm just waiting to see when she comes online, and I will just bring her in. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Cancel. I still don't see her here. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Keep on moving this. Okay. Let me bring her in. Let's see if it works now. I don't know what went wrong. Is there a thunderstorm over there or something? Okay. So I send you a request from your other account. Uh, Let me send you a request here. There we go. There we go. Let's hope it works, guys. Hey, I'm very well. How about yourself? No, I am in Pakistan. Oh, there she is. Hello there.
Hi, we're connected. Yay.
Yay. I hope it works now. I don't know what happened.
I'm not sure either. It could be your end or mine. We are having a big snowstorm here, so I'm not sure if that's affecting the connection.
Oh, I see. I see. So before we dive into our conversation, just a little introduction about yourself, please, for the audience.
So my name is Virginia. I am a full-time realtor, and I have two teenage children. They're now 15 and 17 years old, both in high school. And I was divorced about 10 years ago. So I've been a single mom ever since, and they're pretty much with me 100% of the time.
All right, all right. So let's just start from there. Let's talk about your divorce. What happened there?
So I did marry a man that I absolutely loved. I had no doubts walking down the aisle that it would last forever. But as people grow older and evolve and, life experiences happen, sometimes I think you grow together and sometimes you just grow apart. So in my case, we grew apart, unfortunately. And when we had children, I started noticing, the distance between my ex-husband and I. So our marriage was pretty good until we had kids. And then I think like most couples, you're just so exhausted from the children and cater to their
Mm,
needs that you forget to take care of each other.
right, right, right. So there was nothing unhealthy about it. It was just that you guys were just growing different ways, so it just ended like a just a divorce. Nothing toxic or anything, right?
No, it was not a toxic marriage at all. He did suffer from postpartum depression as the father. Usually
Okay.
that is a diagnosis that's, you hear a lot of women having it postpartum,
Mm,
but
mm,
nobody talks about men going through that postpartum. And
mm,
he did. And so that was difficult because it was, the happiest moment of my life to become a mom.
mm,
And he really couldn't share in that. But it wasn't because he was a bad person.
right.
We don't know what to expect when we become parents, and it just
Mm,
happens differently for each individual. So yeah, we ended up just feeling like we were best friends raising children, but not necessarily, a romantic couple. And so we
mm.
mutually decided, let's just get divorced because we each have the right to be fulfilled and happy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how long did that marriage last for you?
So we were together for 12 years. Hmm.
12 years. Okay, okay. And what happened after? Did you find somebody else, or how did life go for you after that?
Yeah, so most women have this detrimental story about divorce. For me, it was post-divorce. So I was single for a year and a half, and then I met somebody who I was in a relationship with for about 5 years. And it turns out that he was a narcissist. And so we had a very tumultuous relationship.
Okay.
I now realize, looking back, that I was looking, when you get divorced as a woman, you look for the one thing that you were missing in your marriage, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, everybody has something, a missing piece, a reason for which you get divorced. And so I
Absolutely.
was looking for that thing.
Mm.
What I now know that I didn't know back then is that we make the mistake of only looking for that one thing instead of the whole balanced package. So
Mm.
years into that relationship, I realized, wow, I have the one thing maybe that my ex-husband didn't have, but I'm missing all these other things that were beautiful that my ex-husband and I did have. And
Mm.
so I quickly realized that it was very unbalanced and very difficult to live with a narcissistic man
Mm.
who is always thinking about, you know, what's good for him and his decisions and his finances and his emotions and his career without any care at all of how that would affect me or my children, you know, because he had moved in with us. So we were
Okay.
like a family, even though we were
Mm.
not married.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that was like a rebound for you?
Yes, I had my
Mm-hmm.
rebound. So
Yeah,
my
yeah.
advice is don't think your rebound's going to be forever. Everybody needs that rebound to learn
Yeah.
lessons.
Right. And like you said, it's interesting because you see, the point is when we're hurting, right, we're only focused on the thing that caused us that pain. So for you, when you got divorced, you were just focused on that. Oh, if that thing was in my marriage, my marriage wouldn't have fallen apart. And that's what you went out to look for. And you forgot about all the other pieces which were okay in the puzzle, that one piece that was missing, right? So it's really important, and I keep on saying that to clients, it is really important, whether it's toxic or not, when you break up for any kind of relationship, give yourself the permission to go on a break with yourself, to reconnect with yourself, so you have more clarity once you put yourself out there, because it is some sort of trauma or some kind of recovery you need. You were in a relationship, so it comes with this baggage once you're out of it, right? So it's really important for us to really just step out and connect with ourselves before we put ourselves out there. And so how long did this relationship last for you with your boyfriend?
So it's 5 very tumultuous
Yes,
years.
5 years.
And the thing about dating a narcissist or marrying a narcissist, even though I wasn't married to him, it certainly felt like it. We definitely
Mm,
merged our lives in many ways.
mm,
Is that they don't let go, right? And usually a narcissist is attracted to a codependent person. So I learned this afterwards because I was trying to break up with him for a long time and he wouldn't leave me.
mm,
There was just no agreement. You know, he wanted to stay in the relationship because it benefited him. I did not want to stay in the relationship because it didn't benefit me at all.
mm,
So what I did, thankfully, is I found a wonderful female psychologist that was in New Jersey, where I live. And she helped me realize that I was a codependent. And when she first used that word, I was like, wait, what? No, you clearly don't know who I am. I'm not dependent on anybody. I'm very strong, independent, you know,
mm.
Scorpio girl. And I could definitely do this on my own. And she said, no, 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 that's codependent doesn't mean that you're dependent, right? It
Mm,
means
mm,
that we can't be happy until we make everybody else around us happy.
mm,
And I was mind blown by that because
mm,
that's how I was my entire life, right? I
mm,
always did things to make my parents happy, did things to make my family proud. I was the first person on both sides of my family to ever graduate college.
oh,
And I
wow.
felt very
Mm,
proud of that because I felt like I was breaking ceilings and serving as a role model to my younger cousins, you know, kind
mm,
of like, you know, leading the path. or paving the way for, you know, the future generations of my family. And with my friendships, same thing. I was always pleasing my girlfriends, making sure they were happy. I was always the shoulder for them to lean on. But then when I got divorced, I kind of leaned on my own shoulder, right? Because I'm
Right.
constantly giving, even when I need help, I don't know how to ask for it. And so when I was in this relationship, I was giving him and I was helping him and I was making him bigger and stronger and more successful. And I would motivate him and I would cook for him. And, you know, I was just doing it all. And a narcissist just takes and takes and takes and doesn't think of giving that back and making it balanced. So the psychologist, once she helped me realize that that's what it was, she helped me through the steps and really being strong enough to let go, even if he didn't want to let go. I had to make it
Stand up
stop.
for yourself. Right, right.
Right.
And Gina, tell me, did you see the red flags, and were you able to, you know, because for me, when I talk to survivors, especially from narcissistic abuse, so when they're really unhappy, they try to look up what's wrong, what's going on with my relationship, and then they come across the term narcissist or what that is and that disorder and everything. I want to ask you, did you know about this before, or once you were in the relationship, that did you realize that that's that, oh, there is something out there that's called narcissistic disorder?
No, honestly, I never really thought about narcissistic people in general, or the term itself. I mean, obviously, I've heard of it. I knew what it meant.
Okay.
But did I see the red flags? Absolutely. But us codependents look for people that need us, right? We're the fixers, we're the lovers, we're the nurturers. We want to help fix them and make them better. We're going to mold them exactly to their greatest potential. And it's like a magnetic attraction, right? Codependents don't date other codependents. There's definitely a direct relationship. What's interesting is that I found out through reading some books about codependency is that we almost become codependent when we're raised in a family with a narcissist. Could have been your mother, could have been your father, could have been a sibling, could have been a grandparent, somebody that's very close to you that always needed you on an emotional level. So you kind of grow up giving that emotional fulfillment. And then that becomes our normal. We just don't know any different. And so we seek relationships where we're needed and where we can do the fixing, and narcissists scoop us right up and take full advantage of that.
It's interesting how you say it, because I was just having this, and I know we talked about this yesterday, you and I too, but after that, I was having this conversation, and it was really interesting, because you see, what happens then when, especially where I come from, the culture I belong to, and in many other cultures, we were just talking about it yesterday, we have this thing that, okay, you have to make others happy. Their happiness comes first, and it makes you selfish if you do not think about them. So then we're just surrounded by other narcissists or co-independent, right? And for me, it was mind-boggling, because for me, when I realized, then I was like, oh my gosh, my culture, and I can only speak for my culture here, we are so toxic, because we're putting, it's our parents, it's our siblings, it's our aunts, it's our elders, it's our teachers, oh my god, it's everybody before us. We can't say this because what will the other person say, we can't say. And I was really shocked that, okay, and relieved too, because I was like, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. I was conditioned and brought up in a culture which taught me nothing better. So for when people come and say, oh, you couldn't keep your marriage together, or you know, when they point the finger here, I point the finger back now, because now I know. I say, no, it is all the cultural conditioning. I was taught nothing better, and I'm not trying to put anyone down there. I'm just trying to point out that this is a cultural thing that was passed on. We need to recognize it, accept it, and change it. just by sitting and having conversations. Yeah, it's always been like that, nothing's going to change. No, it has to change. We have to step up. And I've had my age group sitting, and they say, yeah, well, this is how it is. And I said, yeah, we can see it now. It's about time we change it. Or do you want that our kids go on with the same self? I think we want to leave behind a legacy that is not broken, right? Which is fulfilled and healed, so they can live better lives than we have. So it's really interesting how you pointed that uh, either it's the household, it's the parent, it's the sibling. For me, I think, and my part of the world, I think it's just our culture. We just brought up in such a way that we don't know anything better. And I think somebody's saying something, and somebody was giving you, I think, shout out twice. So I just want to point that out when you were talking. And somebody's saying something here. I think, oh, I left. I
I
think
think
we need
for
to set our priorities, and that's not being said. Absolutely, that's the whole point. I think we shouldn't go to any extremes. I think we need to find the balance. You don't become selfish and arrogant, but you don't drain yourself, like you said. You just don't drain yourself where you come nowhere in the picture. Like you said with your boyfriend, you were just cooking for him, you were just taking care of him. Where were you in that picture? You were lost, right? So for we have to find the balance. And I think any relationship works in give and take, and that's where the balance comes in. Oh,
yeah, I'm
excuse me.
glad that you mentioned culture because I'm a Spanish culture, and
Okay.
um, but I don't know that it's just culture. I think it's culture from the previous generations, right?
Absolutely.
Because Spanish culture of my parents and my grandparents' generation is very different than the Spanish culture today. And again, that depends
Okay.
on what country, right? There's a lot of different Spanish speaking countries, and we
Mm,
all have similar yet different cultures. But my father's family is from Spain, and I'm very connected to his culture. I go there, often 3 times a year. So I have a lot of friends there, a lot of family there. And I can say that my generation is definitely, from my experience, more of a 50-50 balance, where a relationship should be teamwork and it should be equal. And, you know, I always say I'm not a feminist in the sense that I think women are better than men or that we're stronger than men. I do respect men and women equally. Um,
absolutely.
and I do think that we need to respect each other. But I do
Mm-hmm.
think previous generations, that's the way they used to think. And so it's out of almost out of ignorance, right? So I
Absolutely.
had to learn how to break those ceilings and say,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, enough is enough. I work
Mm-hmm.
too. I'm raising 2 children as well. I'm trying to start a side business. I'm trying to pay the bill. It's not like my man's paying the bills for me,
Mm-hmm.
So if I am responsible for all these things, then I need to be appreciated for all those things as well, right? Just that
Right.
mutual respect and mutual appreciation, that mutual sense of taking care of each other and
Mm-hmm.
nurturing each other. We fill each other's cups, right? We lift each other up, make each other better,
Mm-hmm.
not only as a whole, but as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And giving each other that space. A narcissist is also very insecure,
Yes.
very overprotective, but not in a healthy way. So I remember I
Yes.
would try to go to the pool club with my girlfriends and he would show up,
Mm-hmm.
or I would try to meet a girlfriend out to dinner and he would hide my car keys so I couldn't leave the house.
Oh my goodness.
Of
Oh,
course, I'm a
wow.
very modern woman, so to be like,
Mm.
all right, no problem. I've got Uber, on my cell phone. I can call.
Yeah.
It is crazy that the extremes that they will go to control your life,
Mm.
and almost create like a scandal in public every time we went out. So the biggest red flag is that my friends and my family never approved of our relationship, right? But I
Mm.
think we're so in love,
Mm.
that and then the more time you invest in that person,
Mm.
you feel like you can't just lose that, right? A year into it, it's
Mm.
like, well, I just worked on this relationship for a year. I can't just
Mm.
wait. And
Right.
quickly, 1 year becomes 2, becomes 3.
Mm.
it could become forever, sadly. I was very
Yes.
fortunate that even though it took me 5 years,
Mhm.
um, I was able to get out of it, and I'm in a much healthier mindset because of it.
That's great. Somebody saying cultural conditioning. I think cultural conditioning, media conditioning, so many factors play such a huge role in making the decisions for us. That is why I always say being self-aware, and really it really helps you open and see why you're making that decision. Is it because you were told to make that, that is all you've known your whole life? So it's really interesting, because once you become self-aware, then you really start to see patterns. You start to see your own patterns, where they're coming from, and what's worth holding on to, and what's worth not holding on to. Not just that, it's interesting that you see that you believe something, but that was not even your belief. It was just the environment's belief, and you were just holding on to it. It's got nothing to do with you as an individual. So tell me, Virginia, how did the breakup then happen? What did you have to do for it to finish off? Because like you said, he was not ready to let go.
Yeah, so I think that's the hardest piece in the world, is to finally say, all right, it's better to throw away this relationship that took 5 years to build, but what did I build in the end, than to waste the next 40 years of my life, right? So
Mm.
you learn that it's okay. Not all investments are successful. It's okay to fail every once in a while. It's what makes us human. And it's not truly a failure, because we learn a lesson from every relationship. And those lessons make us stronger and wiser for the next relationship. So I think it's important to realize that. And like I said, I did go to a very savvy female psychologist that helped me through it. And I had many conversations with my boyfriend at the time to, just being assertive, not aggressive, but just being assertive. Like, I almost became a wall around him until, when a narcissist stops receiving, eventually they go away. Right. So
Yeah, yeah.
I fell from always giving and giving and, just giving into their needs.
Mm.
But also I started reading a lot of books about codependency and independence, and I really got into spirituality and becoming spiritually balanced, and learning how to meditate, learning how to breathe.
Mm.
My
Oh,
goodness,
that's so important. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
breathing. We need
Excuse
that
me.
breath. How many times we're so stressed and we're thinking and we're like, and when we forget to breathe,
Mm.
right?
Yes,
So
yes.
always consciously breathing. And then I also used my children as my motivation, right?
Mm.
I just kept thinking, little eyes are always watching us,
Mm.
right? A mother, I want to be a strong, successful role model. I
Mm.
don't want my kids to see that you're just supposed to be submissive to a relationship that is not fulfilling and
Mm.
balancing to your life. And
Mm.
so I went to Tony Robbins events.
Oh,
I
that's
went to Grant Cardone events
okay.
by myself, sometimes with friends, sometimes by myself. I got on a plane, flew to Vegas, went to these conferences. And when you go by yourself, it's better than going with friends, because it forces you to network and meet other
Mm.
people around the world
Mm.
and hear their stories and their experiences, and share strategies on how to just become the best version of yourself.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's the
yes.
new path I was able to take. And it's been a wonderful journey. And I've made a lot of
Ah,
friends along the way.
that is so beautiful. And somebody is asking there, did the father of the kids know about all of this, and what part did he play in that, uh, with your boyfriend and all that?
So it's important to know that my ex-boyfriend was a wonderful stepfather to my children, right? Because a
Okay.
narcissist will know what touches your heart, so you don't let
Mm.
go.
Mm.
So my children did not have any negative experiences with him.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate in that sense.
Mm.
So did my ex-husband know how my boyfriend at the time was making me feel. I mean, maybe a little bit, but he's my ex-husband, you know, he's not my best
Right.
friend.
Mm.
Him and I really just communicated about the children. He didn't really need to know about my personal life. But my
Mm.
best friends knew, and I learned the power of a tribe, of a female tribe, right? So I have strong women in my life.
Mm.
My grandmother is very strong. My mother's very strong. I have about 12 girlfriends that are very strong. Some of them married, some of them divorced. It doesn't matter. So just having a strong female tribe around you also lifts you up and gives you strength. So yes, I spoke to my tribe about what I was going
Okay.
through, and they certainly helped me with the emotional support I needed.
That's so great that you had a tribe, and I think it's so essential when you're going through something like that. If even if you find one person who truly believes in your in you, it can just change the course of your whole entire life. It's so important at that time when you're really down there, right? I wanted to talk to you about Tony Robbins. So tell me, when was the first time you went to his show, and what role did he play in your personal life or your transformation?
So I don't remember the exact date, and it wasn't that long ago. It was probably I want to say in 2017.
Okay.
Could have been when I went to one of his events. He came to New Jersey,
Okay.
and I remember the first day I was so excited. I mean, there's so much energy in that stadium. Thousands of people. I don't remember the number, but there had to be at least like 12 to 15,000 people there. And he focuses on loving yourself, because if you
Yes.
don't love yourself first, you are never going to be strong enough to love the people around you in a
Mm.
healthy, positive way. Right. So that's
Absolutely.
like a mindset change.
Mm.
You know, my entire life, it's like loving others, taking care of others, nurturing others, doing everything for others.
Mm.
And by the time I get to bed, I'm just exhausted, and it never gets to
Yes.
me.
Mm.
So that mindset was life changing. I'm loving myself first. What makes me happy? What makes me healthy? What makes me balanced? So you are what you eat. So what you put inside your body is really important. I'm kind of lucky that because of my culture, I have a Mediterranean diet.
All
So
right.
that's just naturally healthy. I
Mm.
have a lot of friends that have a plant-based diet. I'm very jealous of people that can have a plant-based diet, because I would love to
Mm.
do that. It's just that I love eating fish, and I don't know that I
Mm.
could ever do that.
Mm.
But it's really important to stay away from fried foods, processed foods, acidic foods, heavy foods, and then exercise. So I never worked out a day in my life. It just wasn't a thing that I did. And then I got on the treadmill one day and I started to run, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't run. I've never been a runner. And my first time running, I ran 3 miles. And then 3 miles became
Oh.
4, and 4 miles became 5. And I said, wow, I could really do this. And
Mm.
so when you fear stops you, right? So another Tony Robbins thing is fighting that fear that we were also programmed to have,
Mm.
right? Our parents, our grandparents, our
Yes.
family, our teachers in school, neighbors teach you fear, because fear protects you and keeps you safe. Because if you don't leave your
Mm.
house, you're never going to get hurt, right? But fear
Right.
also back. And so I
Mm.
worked really hard on overcoming my fears, to the point that now I only have healthy fears. I no longer possess those unhealthy fears. And I realized that every door that I try to slam open and I walk through it, it's never going to be a loss, because it's either going to be a successful experience, or if it's not a successful experience, I'll learn a lesson from it that
Mm.
helps me grow. And that's why I'm on here helping others, by sharing my experiences, because I would love somebody else to learn from this without having to go through all the steps that I went through.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's so incredible of you. I want you, because you stated a couple of times about that you're reading some books. Do you know their names and their authors? So if somebody in the audience is interested, they can have the books names with the authors' names.
So this is one of the books that I'm dropping things now because I wasn't prepared.
That's all right.
But this is called Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. So that's a good one to get.
Okay.
When I started getting into meditation and spirituality, this is like a must read, right? The Bhagavad Gita. This one is by Stephen. You know, and then there's a lot of other books. I mean, I read a lot of books. I try to read one book a week.
Okay.
And so what I started doing is, besides self-help books and besides the Tony Robbins books, I started reading, you know, books about the career I actually wanted. So I was a school teacher. And as much as I loved children and I loved teaching, I felt like I was capable of, you know, giving so much more and just making more of a difference, not just in my classroom, but just maybe in my state or in the world. And that's really still my goal. So I read books about sales and marketing, and I got into real estate. And then I, you know, joined a national committee where we help minorities across our country become homeowners and be part of that American dream, right? And we kind of match them up with lenders that match their financial needs to get them that mortgage approval. And I handhold them through the process. And so I remember when I was a teacher, I had students that just couldn't focus on their homework. They didn't have a quiet space. I would go do home visits, and we had families living in a bedroom. You'd go to a 3-bedroom apartment and there were 3 families living in there. Wow. So how is a child supposed to learn when they can't even get a quiet corner of the house to do their homework or do independent reading? So I left education as an educator, and now what I'm trying to do is help their parents, these families, purchase their own home so they can have their own space to play outside the way children should, and to have a quiet space for reading and doing homework the way every child should. And I'm hoping that that ends up trickling into their classroom and changing these children's lives, you know, by helping their parents from the top.
Wow, that is so inspiring, from a teacher to a realtor. Wow.
Thank you.
I myself was a teacher, and I absolutely love that job. It's so fulfilling, helping and being around kids. It's just amazing. Guys, if you have any questions for her, shoot it up. She can answer you guys. In the meanwhile, just to let's wrap up our conversation. Any message you want to give out to anyone who's over here listening to you and is feeling stuck in unhealthy relationship, or is unhappy, or with a narcissist? What kind of message would you want to give them?
So my message is, look in the mirror, breathe, and fall in love with yourself. While you're looking in the mirror, fall in love with yourself. It's almost like a process you've never been taught to do. And it's so important. When you love yourself and you realize that you have nothing but goodness and kindness inside of you, you realize how much you have to offer the world, but with the strength of your self-love first. So whatever it takes, whether it's the Tony Robbins, whether it's reading books, whether it's watching podcasts as these, whether it's building a girl tribe, you know, where with like-minded individuals where you support each other at all times, whether it's looking into your children's eyes and knowing that they are learning from your actions and from your daily decisions. Love yourself enough to change your life around. It's never too late.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So well said. Somebody asked something. I just wanted to read that. Is that on following the 12 steps program? Okay.
I'm not sure what the 12 steps program is, but Sunny, if you want to PM me after the podcast, we can discuss further.
Yeah, guys. So like always, you know, I will tag her after our conversation. So you can directly go to her page, have a conversation with her, have questions, ask her. Thank you so much. I'm so thankful for you. You came forward and you wanted to share your story. I think it adds so much meaning to so many people listening out there. You've added so much value to so many people's lives. You've given so much of hope to people on this and on this platform. I'm truly thankful to you, and I wish you all the best in your future. And yeah, lots of love to you.
Thank you. Same to you. I think what you're doing is great, putting out all that helps women just become the best versions of themselves. And that's, you know, you're now part of my tribe too. So I appreciate
Yes,
that.
absolutely, absolutely. Take care of yourself. Stay safe with the storm, snowstorm that's there. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to join me next Thursday again with another guest. Take good care of yourself, everybody. We are out. Bye bye.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Love ya.